So did you know that for 82% of small businesses, referrals are their primary source of advertising and income? Not websites, not online ads, but people. So an eBay vintage reselling business is also a serious business. It has the capacity to grow as big as you want it to be. So what if every garage sale and estate sale that you went to from now on could lead to 5 more sourcing opportunities? Because that's exactly what can happen when you're not there just to buy, but you're also there to start your network. So if you enjoy this type of content, I'd appreciate it if you would hit the like button. And my name's Jennifer, and this channel is Her Empowered Retirement. So in the past, we've talked about going to estate sales and garage sales to get the best buys for vintage items. And I feel it's the best because not only is it a place where you can usually get the lower prices, but you also can get the history. This is from people who want to sell things, the same as you and me. If we have an estate sale or a garage sale, we know what we're selling. We hopefully are detached from it, not wanting a crazy price, but we have an idea of what we want to sell it for. And as a buyer, we go and we just have to see if that price fits or if we can bundle things and maybe get a lower price overall, and it makes sense for our business. And we're checking these things on the eBay sold listings to make sure that it has a good sell-through rate and is a viable option. So step 1 is when you plan your estate sale visits, if you take it to a higher scale, what you're going to do is you're going to go through, Facebook Marketplace. You're going to look in on Craigslist ads, and there's like locally here it's estatesales.net, I believe. You'll get to know, the online sites where you can find what the new sales are. Choose the ones that look the best and divide up your area geographically and by time. So let's say that the best looking sale that lists that they have multiple items that you're interested in is in the northeast part of town. So then you would, take a look at other sales that are close by so that you're being smart with your time and with your mileage, that you're just concentrating in that area for a little bit for the best looking ones there. You do want to check the whole area because it could be that Saturday morning there's a fantastic sale, an hour and a half away, but it'd be worth it. So be strategic. Okay, so that's pretty much what we've covered in the past. And that is how you get started, how you find fantastic deals, and you can get enough inventory just operating that way. But if you want to take it a step up, what you want to do first is to get some business cards printed. And on those cards, you're going to list the things that you're interested in. And that can be specific. Like when my husband and I used to go out on sales together, he had on his card, lists of things, mostly military items. But what he would do, and what works really well, is as soon as he got to a sale, he would go up and talk to the person in charge and give them the card and ask if they have any of those things. And then from there, it would lead to a discussion of other things that we were looking to buy. And then he would ask if they had something that they were thinking of selling but they hadn't put out. And that does trigger a lot of people to think of, something that was on the list that he went over that they, might have and hadn't thought about. So what happens there is if they have coverage, they go and they look for that thing. Or a lot of times they'll say, why don't you come back, after the sale's over or at the end. And by then I'll have had time to dig that out for you. So that does work really well. One other thing, at those sales, you're going to run into the same people over and over again. And there are other buyers. They might have an antique store, they might have a booth at a vintage collective. They might also be online sellers. And you want to get a chance to strike up a conversation, because most people are looking for different things. You know, people are looking just for vinyl records, or they're looking for postcards. I mean, the list goes on, right? But you get to know what they're looking for, and you want to give them your card and say, hey, these are the things I'm looking for. If you run across it, you know, give me a call, send me a text, and, you know, I'll do the same for you. What are you looking for? And so, you know, exchange information. That works really well, because the more you get into this business, you realize that, you know, people have their specialties, people have things they're interested in, and nobody can do everything. So it's great to be able to share. So another thing I hadn't mentioned is you might want to just say you're looking for collections. You know, it's amazing how if someone does put together a collection, they tend to have one or two or more really good items. So even if it's a small collection, even if it's something that you haven't done before, you know, it's definitely worth taking a look at. Another thing is buying in bulk. There was, one sale comes to mind, that there was an estate sale, and this man, he was a TV repairman. And this was from the day where they had all those tubes. Remember the glass tubes that used to be in TVs? You may or may not remember that. I could make a good profit on selling those in smaller quantities and in larger quantities. And I had that collection on hand for, I think, for over a year, and I just kept selling them because, okay, think about this, people were doing it for like steampunk stuff. They were doing it for repurposing for art. If you find things that are parts, or, you know, like watch parts are fantastic. Anyway, I don't want to get off on a tangent, but if you do have a chance to buy something in bulk, it is vintage, it is something that sells, maybe not a hot item, but it does sell, go for it. Because having inventory that just, as we talked about before, if it just moves every, you know, day, every week, it's a consistent seller, that is something that is a no-brainer after a while. You just keep repeating that income. So also when you're out at flea markets, you want to give them your cards. Some of those flea market sellers are individuals that have a house that they're getting things out of, like maybe they inherited things from relatives that they don't want. Another big group of people at flea markets are people who clean out houses. And those are honestly probably the best people to network with. People are hired to clean out houses by real estate agents or families, but generally real estate. Generally it's when a house is changing hands. They are a great source. When they have your card and they know exactly what you're looking for, what they'll do is they'll give you a call and they'll put stuff aside. They'll say, okay, you know, in this last house, I had some things you might be interested in. I'll just kind of put them aside for you. Next time you are able to come by, give me a call. And, you know, that is wonderful because that person sometimes can have things every month, every few months. And some of the best things that you'll run across do come from situations like that. You also want to take your card around to antique stores and vintage resale places in a large area, you know, like with an hour or 2 hours from your house. Because what happens with stores is people come in and they want to sell the stores their vintage items. And sometimes those are things that that antique seller will buy, you know, the lot. And there's some of those things that they don't want or something they're not specialized in. And so they're a good source. And they're also a good source for you if you're buying things and you recognize the value of something that is not quite something you want to sell. And so after you've been handing your card out and you've been networking with people that you run across, the next thing to do, or simultaneously, is to start looking like daily on what's posted in Facebook Marketplace and what's posted on Craigslist or any other, neighborhood or citywide groups that you can find. And also sometimes business liquidation places. You're going to start looking for things you can buy. Yeah, some of those business places, it's amazing how they'll find vintage things, in the back storeroom or whatever. And those are really good to sell. But anyway, okay, I keep digressing, sorry. So yes, you're going to scour those places and contact those sellers and try to, buy their collections. You want to take your card with you, and so they can see all the things you buy, or, maybe when you're texting back and forth, you start to mention things. And make sure you leave your cards with them, because they might be someone who also can network for you just because they talked to a friend, or they might be someone that, like those people who are cleaning out houses, they have some type of a source. Anyway, you get the point there. You're going to be advertising that you're a buyer. So you'll list, the things that you're looking for. Keep it kind of open-ended, saying you're looking for any collection, that you think is vintage and might fit your criteria. You want to start posting those on like Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace where you can. If there are any like penny magazine or penny newspapers in your area still, you might want to run an ad there. We used to run an ad weekly in our local newspaper. And what would happen is people would cut it out and put it on the refrigerator and call you like a year or two later. It's, because it's all the timing for these people when they're ready to sell. So it's great if you have something, whether it's your business card or whether it's an ad that you've run, that they can hold on to and call you when they're ready. In your network, of course, you want to be known as someone who, buys well and pays cash or, Venmo or whatever, that you play fair and the people that they refer to you are happy, I guess, is the bottom line. And then the other part of the network is that you're going to run into things while you're out buying collections and you're buying large groups of things that don't fit your criteria, and you're going to network back with those other, sellers that you found. So as this grows, and as you're known for what you're selling, it can get so big where you're buying so much inventory and you're doing listings and, referring things out. You might get to the point where you aren't going to sales very much anymore. Now, that's kind of a sad thing because it is fun to go to sales, but sometimes that's just how it works. The important thing is that you're buying things and selling things at the best profit you can get, and that you're able to keep up the number of listings that need to be done to make the profit that you're shooting for. So you just have to, kind of weigh your time and what you enjoy. Never cut out what you enjoy. If you love going to those sales every week, then keep doing that, and maybe hire somebody to help you do some listings or something. So I hope this system is something that you could see working for yourself, and it doesn't have to be the huge scale. It definitely is potentially lost opportunity if you don't, get a card made up, if people don't know what you're looking for, because they could be extremely happy to be able to sell to you the things that they don't want anymore, and they can get the price they want, and you get more proficient at buying and making money. So I hope this is a system that you see being able to work for yourself. Please let me know in the comments. I have put a little free PDF together for starting on eBay, so take a look in the description for that. So again, thank you for being here. Again, my name is Jennifer. This is Her Empowered Retirement, and I'm happy to see that we have so many people interested in growing their eBay businesses. I wish you the best of luck. Stay positive, stay out there and find some deals, and I'll see you next week.